In all my time of watching VTubers, I've seen some amazing ones, I've seen some pathetic ones, and today we're going to talk about one of the worst ones, Yakirisu. This is the story of the worst VTuber.
The VTuber community has been a rapidly rising juggernaut in the content creation space in the 2020s. While the technology has existed for years, it's seen a huge rise in prominence thanks to the Cover Corporation and Hololive Productions' expansion into English VTubing. While I have mixed feelings about the genre and content, it's at least more neutral now than it was previously. But an underlying issue with the concept of VTubing is that in a sea of cute anime girls, bad actors are bound to blend into the community and appear inconspicuous, despite the disturbing truth of the person behind the model. Of course, the easy joke to make here is that the cute anime VTuber is actually a middle-aged man in disguise. But somehow, the story behind our subject today is much, much worse. Yakirisu, often referred to as simply Yaki, is, or should I say was, an up-and-coming content creator online, primarily known for her VTuber streams and content, but is also known to a lesser extent for her cosplays.
Okay.
Yaki would often adopt her VTuber persona when she appeared in content on the YouTuber Alpharad's channel.
It gets worse.
Yes, that Alpharad.
Okay.
And just when it looked like her career as a content creator had just begun to pick up steam, all that momentum was lost when on May 30th of 2023, content creator Deputy Aru and editor/public figure Ultima came out with a joint Google Doc telling their experiences behind the scenes with Yakirisu. Their document being published was the catalyst for many other individuals coming forward and writing their own Google Docs, giving their own unpleasant histories with Yakirisu. That effect snowballed into a complete shitstorm of allegations, forming a laundry list of
That's a shit ton of accusations. Where there's smoke, there's fire, boys. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
unsavory things Yaki has done in the past, and that spiraled into an entire hate campaign raging on Twitter, which grew so large that even people who weren't even aware of who Yakirisu was to begin with began to take notice and comment on the situation. By the end of it, there were a total of 11 Google Docs and involved in the situation, coming from an assortment of people online, with pretty much every Google Doc having similar themes of manipulation, abuse, and pettiness throughout. And some of these Google Docs get long. So we certainly have our work cut out for us today. So without further ado,
innocent until proven guilty, I guess.
Relax, and let me show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
This is the story of the world's worst VTuber.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Gonna be a good one. Case 1. Okay.
Before we dive into the 11 Google Docs,
yeah, who is this person?
First establish their subject and the subject of this very video. Mary is a Lithuanian-American woman from Michigan, and as we'll come to find out, has gone by quite a few aliases online. But she is best known under the pseudonym of Yakirisu, often shortened to Yaki, and sometimes remixed into new but familiar names. In March of 2019, she would create her Twitter account under the handle @Yakirisu with 2 U's. The account that would end up becoming her most popular one. According to Yaki herself, she also began cosplaying in 2019, with cosplaying becoming what she was best known for and what grew her follower base on social media. Soon after she created her Twitter, she would go on to create her Twitch and YouTube accounts, as she wanted to start streaming as well. Over the course of 2019, she would build a pretty respectable following for herself, having a nice 14,000 followers for herself only a year after making her debut. That's nothing to sneeze at. And her Twitch numbers, for someone just starting out, aren't half bad either. And with this influx of new followers, why not take the opportunity to cozy up with some of your new mutuals and start building connections with people? Although, the outcome of that will be discussed later on in this video. However, this growth would soon peter out as she suddenly stopped streaming and would rarely put out a cosplay. This can clearly be indicated with the huge hiatus in streams seen on Twitch Tracker, as well as her stagnant follower growth on Social Blade. It's unclear as to why Yaki stopped posting content online, especially since, according to her significant other at the time, she wasn't employed at the time and was mostly relying on her partner's income. Whatever the case may be, this hiatus was broken with the beginning of 2022, as she began getting back into content creation, both in terms of cosplays and streaming, and soon after began streaming as a PNG tuber, although claimed she was a VTuber in her titles and tags for some reason. And just in time too, as the connections she made in the past led her to making connections with very popular creators. This would give her a nice bump in attention and notoriety thanks to her association with them. Her growth was more gradual and steady initially, but in November, she made her debut as a proper VTuber with a model and everything. Her official debut as a VTuber garnered Yaki a lot of attention, and took her growth from modest and steady to her now gaining thousands of followers each month. And around this time, she began appearing as a guest in Alpharad's content. Getting her name out there in content by a creator as popular as him no doubt contributed to the increasingly fast growth Yaki was having at the time. Yaki was picking up some serious momentum, and at the rate she was gaining followers, Yaki was poised to end up with at least 100,000 Twitch followers by the end of 2023. And Yaki also took the opportunity to expand her content onto YouTube as well, with her creating videos and shorts that she fashioned out of her content from her streams.
Good idea.
And these videos performed very well for themselves.
The short algorithm was crazy back in the day,
having an entire 1 million views to its name. And while her two other shorts weren't nearly as popular, 370k are certainly large view counts. Shorts aside, she was also beginning to hire editors to create fully edited, long-form YouTube videos out of her stream content, with her two videos currently sitting at a pretty 274k and 135,000 views respectively. For her first videos on YouTube, that's incredibly solid. Most YouTubers' first videos don't have nearly that amount of views.
No,
with all of these factors into consideration,
algorithm
Yaki
pushing
was
her
found
crazy.
to be a popular creator herself,
algorithm and the shout out,
and be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with her content creator peers. With
yeah.
growth like this and friends like Alpharad, Yaki's career was pretty much cemented. What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, case 2.
The first Google Doc exposing Yaki dropped on May 30th of this year, with it containing the accounts of Ultima Shadow X, or simply Ultima.
Bro, May 30th? Bro, that was just
only were they the first
a day, 2 days ago.
Both of them appear to have been affected most recently by Yaki.
Okay.
We'll begin with Ultima's story, and move on to Aru's afterwards. Ultima works as an editor behind the scenes for YouTubers, with him working with such notable creators as Matt McMuscles,
shout out Matt McMuscles,
VTuber Henya the Genius,
Henya. Who was that?
Alpharad.
Oh, Alpharad. Okay.
What a coincidence. Ultima and Yaki had been friends for well over 4 years, but after she broke up with her significant other in 2022, she began facing some dire financial issues as she returned from a trip to her significant other absent and a mortgage she could not shoulder. Yaki begged Ultima to move in with her so she wouldn't lose her house, which he agreed to because of their history. Yaki later claims that this arrangement was mutually beneficial, and that Ultima was looking to move out of his place anyways. However, Ultima contests this, stating that he wasn't looking to move at all, and simply did so to help her out. In the beginning, things were peachy between Ultima, Yaki, and her new boyfriend Ruby, but after the first few months, things turned sour. Yaki began becoming more and more aggressive towards Ultima. Ultima's account of his experience states that she would verbally abuse him for some of the slightest inconveniences, particularly with getting him to pipe down. It's something that is focused a lot in Ultima's story, as the house they shared had thin walls. Apparently, they must have had paper-thin walls though, because if he would make any noise while she was streaming, even just whispers, she would berate him over it.
Man, tell her shut her ass up, bro.
Particular instance where she came into his room and yelled at him for, quote, ruining her content.
She would also strong-arm him
into paying for stuff on her behalf often. Notably the gas for his car, which, despite belonging to him, Yaki was the only person who would actually ever use it. The verbal abuse got so bad that he ended up confiding in Fidel, otherwise known as On the Down Low or Games Cage, about the situation.
On the Down Low is crazy.
Fidel will also come to play a larger role in the story, so remember him for later. I do an entire video for her and follow her rules, and do her changes, and in her notes, it's like, are you stupid? This is bad. I hate this. I said to do this.
Fern is not here.
I read your notes. I did what you want. Stop treating me like I'm incompetent. I am
Alright. Let's go.
I am burnt out and depressed on edit hunt. Bad. I hate this. I said to do this. I read your notes. I did what you want. Stop treating me like I'm incompetent. I am burnt out and depressed on editing. I can barely get out of bed.
Jesus.
I lost my main source of income.
Jesus.
You saddle up to my boss. You tell me to pay for gas on my own car.
Jesus.
I let you drive when I don't drive.
Jesus.
Ultima
Bro,
also
you're too
talked about
nice.
how Yaki would use her connection.
She's gonna use you. Yeah.
In particular,
You gotta stand up for yourself.
With Alpharad, and hold it over Ultima's head as a means of silencing him. I try to handle this quietly. She will gossip. She will ruin my career. I am scared of that. All because I wanted to help. Ultima would later add an instance where Yaki threatened him if she found out he was talking about what was happening, stating ominously that they would have problems. It's always great to see people weaponize their friendships with larger creators against others. As we can see from her channel, Yaki's quite the fan of Pokemon, so it should come as no surprise to find out that her treatment of her pets is less than stellar.
Oh, nice.
According to Ultima, he was the
Not
one
the
left with the
Pokemon,
responsibility
no!
of taking care of them, feeding them, cleaning up after them, and so on.
Oh!
Yaki would have the cats locked in the bathroom for over half a day and would tell Ultima not to let them out.
What the fuck?
Also, if you're curious,
That's
this
torture.
is what her bathroom looked like.
Ew!
Now, for reference, here's what KhunShawn's bathroom looks like.
Okay.
That's really all that needs to be said. Funnily enough, in her response, Yaki unintentionally corroborated this claim, referring to this as putting them in, quote, gay baby jail. Cute. The worst of it happened during Yaki's recent trip to LA, as one of her cats at home had become terribly ill, so much that it was unable to walk. While Yaki extended her stay in LA for a bit longer, Ultima drove multiple hours to the vet and paid for over...
Bro, I hate people that get pets and they don't take care of them, bro. Why even get the pet? If you're just not gonna take care of it, you might as well let him go outside and never come back, bro. They probably have a better life on the street, or at least find them a better home. That's so sad to hear, man.
For half the checkup and medical costs for it, to which she allegedly never paid him back for.
That's sad.
Due to the aforementioned issue about Ultima being too loud for Yaki, she suggested that the three of them look at moving into a bigger house to alleviate the issue, with Ultima and Ruby finding a place that worked for them. When Ultima, Ruby, and Yaki, with the help of Ultima's dad, went to apply for a loan for the house, though, she refused to become co-owner to the loan, citing her mortgage on their current house.
No shit. Her credit's gonna go down.
As Ultima states, she had been making funny little jokes about moving to LA to be closer to Alfred's group of friends, and if she ever went through with that, which is highly likely if her streaming career kicked off, then she'd abandon Ultima with a loan that he couldn't pay.
Debt, yeah.
Thankfully, because of her flakiness, everyone backed out.
No. Yeah,
in addition to working as an editor for other creators, Ultima also offered Yaki to help her out with editing a couple of her YouTube videos as well. These experiences, however, were hellish for Ultima. As he explains, anytime I would submit a video to her for revision, I would just be treated like a total idiot. Things like, why would you do this? Or, you just don't get it. Or, this is baffling. What were you thinking? And it made me very
edit your own video.
I was burnt out and barely
spoiled ass
motivated to work
bro.
as it is. Of note is that within an Imgur album containing screenshots on Discord between Yaki and Ultima, all of these screenshots, save for one from May, that is completely unrelated and isn't about anything, although is very ominous given the "is everything okay?" and the kinda, not really, and the 2-hour call that happened afterwards are from January and February of 2023. Considering that the two videos Ultima edited for Yaki came out on February 16th and May 8th, this leaves us with an entire 2 to 3 months of correspondence unaccounted for in this album, supposedly refuting the claim that she was abusive towards Ultima. And, you know, call it a hunch, but I don't think the messages from that time frame were quite as easy to chalk up to simple disagreements as the screenshots attached are. Or the really bad shit could have just happened in real life or over Discord calls. That's also just as likely.
True.
While we're on that topic, let's switch gears into Aru's testimony. Aru is a content creator online with a primary focus on Twitch streaming, but also dabbles in some VTubing and cosplay. Which is what her and Yaki have in common. How Aru and Yaki came to know each other, though, was through their mutual association with Fidel. I mentioned him.
Castro?
He's a streamer and content creator himself, and you might be familiar with him.
I don't even know
he trends on Twitter semi-frequently from time to time. Fidel and Aru are close friends and were once a couple, as she explained in her doc, although the relationship stopped shortly after December of last year. Things just weren't quite working out between them romantically, and they have remained close friends to this day. Yaki, on the other hand, has a checkered past with Fidel. They were good friends for a while, and Fidel helped Yaki out and gave her advice when she began streaming in 2022. But her feelings towards Fidel soured as time passed. She began to hold a serious grudge against Fidel, believing that he was actively trying to sabotage her streaming career by specifically having their streams overlapped so he could attract viewers away from her streams and throttle her growth. These feelings are largely a conspiracy theory that she made her...
You don't own your viewers. If two people are streaming at the same time, the chat's gonna go to whoever is more entertaining. Become more entertaining, bitch. What is this?
Because Fidel had a minor issue with her self-promoting in his chat and Discord. This can be confirmed with DMs Yaki later leaked in her response, where she basically verbatim states this. Not to be a tease, but I'll delve more into this later on in this video. But what's important to know is that Yaki really doesn't like Fidel, and when she noticed that Aru and Fidel broke up, she began to slide into Aru's DMs to, in effect, manipulate Aru into turning against Fidel. To quote Aru directly, "It ended up with her calling me and telling me he cheated on me, and since she had no reason to lie to me, or so I thought, I believed her. She also told me that he would say awful things about me behind my back.
Don't believe the women, man!
And that
they'll manipulate you. They'll get you killed.
Because she was very close to Fidel, I had no reason not to believe her. Yaki used this opportunity to try and get Aru to move away.
You better find a reason. There's always a reason for everything.
Aru described her introduction into the friend group to basically be a way for her to secretly humiliate Aru to her friend group behind her back, and as a vehicle for her vitriolic rhetoric about Fidel. And this ultimately culminated in a trip that the group took to LA in order to spend time together, which I mentioned not too long ago. At least, that's what it was supposed to be,
mentioned it.
Till Yaki started pulling some strings. In March, Aru, Yaki, and their mutual friend Izzy planned to hang out together to celebrate Izzy's birthday in LA, which coincided with other events that the three all intended to attend. Despite Aru paying out of her own pocket for this trip, she spent almost the entire trip being outcast from every social gathering during this trip. All the while, Yaki would basically lie and defame Aru and Fidel to everyone else. Yaki was able to do this because she managed to lie about both of them in order to convince everyone not to invite them, like saying that Aru made Alfred uncomfortable, and saying that if Fidel and Alfred were in the same place, it would blow up. Shit that was so
what?
That borderlines on
don't say no shit like that.
To be specific, Aru had been invited from a dinner with Alfred's friend group, a brunch the following day, a trip to the aquarium, and her own friend Izzy's birthday party. In particular, that last instance resulted in Aru being given an incorrect address that took her to a completely different side of LA, and when Aru called her friends asking for them to come get her, Yaki was allegedly calling Aru passive-aggressive for being scared that she was completely stranded alone in LA in the middle of the night. Whilst we don't know if it was intentional that Aru was given the wrong address, it sounds like it was the worst moment in her trip to LA that was completely wasted to begin with. And that's while considering another circumstance Aru recounts in her own testimony, where she actually arranged plans to hang out with Yaki and Izzy in her hotel room. However, they needed to make a stop beforehand at a friend's house and told Aru to meet them there. Shortly after Aru arrived, they bounced and left to go to Alfred's house, ditching Aru in a house with three dudes she doesn't know well enough to realize at their house like that. This left Aru incredibly upset that the two people she thought of as friends would abandon her like that. And according to Aru, the reason they did this, as well as not letting Aru ride with her friends to and from places, despite being in a hotel room close to Alfred's place, as per their suggestion, is because Yaki specifically orchestrated it that way. Apparently, she did this because she thought Aru was being weird with wanting to find out Alfred's address, and by that, I mean she asked like a couple times if she could Uber her friends there so they could drop off their luggage at his place for the sake of convenience, and not to the insane degree Yaki allegedly tried to portray. Aru was thankfully able to catch an Uber to the actual location of the party, and there she confronted Izzy about why Aru was being excluded from everything despite the fact that she only took the trip to LA in the first place to hang out with them. It was here where Izzy revealed that much of it was because of Yaki pulling the strings and using the opportunity to talk shit about her and Fidel for the duration of the entire trip. Keep in mind that Aru spent money out of her own pocket to come to LA. It wasn't arranged for anyone else to pay for her to fly out. So Aru spends a shit ton of money to catch a plane and a hotel in LA so she can hang out with her friends, and one of her friends is deliberately barring her from doing so and talking shit about her during the entire 3 or 4 day trip. Now that's really shitty. Aru decided she had to confront Yaki about this, and Izzy pleaded with her not to, as she was afraid Yaki would ruin her friendships, reputation, and even her birthday party. Aru had her heart set, however, and proceeded anyway. As Aru explains, despite her having 3 other people tell very similar stories, when she confronted Yaki, she denied basically everything, and this resulted in a heated conversation between the 3 of them, involving yelling, crying, and emotions running high. The conversation ended with Aru telling Yaki, as long as you stop talking bad about me to other people, it's water under the bridge. Just please stop doing that and be honest if you don't like me, rather than bullying me. To which Yaki responded saying, Aru, I love you.
You're a bitch.
I would never say anything bad about you.
I just instinctively don't like people that lie to like your face. Especially if you call them out, like if you don't like me, say so. And it's like, oh, I love you. It couldn't be me, bro. I could not be a female, bro. I would be assaulting other females.
Afterwards, Yaki, Izzy, and company took an Uber back to Alfred's place, and according to Izzy, Yaki was yelling at the others in the Uber ride back about what had just transpired. After the trip, Izzy became yet another person Yaki would maliciously defame to other creators in order to dissuade them from collaborating or working with her, and this didn't stop for Aru or Fidel either. To quote Aru directly, Yaki not only poisoned the well with Alfred's friend group when it came to me, but she began spreading rumors into other friend groups that resulted in other content creators completely cutting contact with me or just being very cold and standoffish towards me after hanging out with her. I ended up having to disconnect from everything because of how badly my mental health was affected by all of this. Aru also confronted Alfred about the alleged role he had in the drama. A lot of Yaki's words and actions were predicated on things that she said Alfred thought, felt, or said, or that the only reason Yaki shit-talked Aru in a relationship was only because Alfred would ask about it. According to messages between Alfred and Aru, that was not the case at all, and Alfred had a really hands-off and bystandery involvement in what happened. Yaki was simply evoking his name as a way to dilute what her intentions really were, or took his words and blew them up in such outlandish proportions that they weren't representative of how he really felt at all. Making a mountain out of a molehill, in other words.
Yeah.
Aru ends her story by explaining what her point of view of the fallout of their interactions has looked like. As you can probably tell with me posting this, she never stopped, and I keep hearing things being said about me that continue to be traced back to Yaki. Even just last week, she called 2 people in hopes of downplaying what she did to me, and is continuing to do to me, and told them that I constantly talked badly about her, and asked for them to give her personal details on my life. I truly believe Yaki's fixation with hurting my reputation is creepy and incredibly invasive. This kind of behavior makes me feel unsafe and uneasy. This is not normal behavior, and I just wanted to go hang out with my friends and constantly was treated like someone who deserved to be excluded and isolated from invitations. When you hang out with people who you consider your friends, there shouldn't be so much mudslinging. I shouldn't have had to experience being treated badly when I was supposed to be there for a good time. Yaki lied to me, manipulated me, gaslit me, sullied my reputation in the gaming space, and completely bullied me to the point where I needed therapy. And I know she has done this to other people besides me. I just want all of this to stop.
What happened next? Chapter 3, or case 3.
I'll just give a quick warning that this section in particular deals with the subject matter such as these that you can read on screen right now. Okay. If you would rather not hear about them, just skip to the next section.
Okay,
Yohin Tsushima, known simply as Hazel, is a former partner of Yaki's, with them dating from 2017 until they broke up in 2021. Additionally, they lived together starting in 2018 until sometime after they split up. During the time they lived together, a lot of what happened to Ultima was also happening to Hazel. Also similar to Ultima is how Yaki pressured her into buying the house that they lived in. along with it being the same house she would share with Ruby and Ultima later on. On top of that, Hazel was also the only one with a job, so she basically shouldered most of the financial responsibility in the relationship, while also being a full-time college student at the same time. According to Hazel, as Yaki became more and more popular on Twitter and Twitch, she would become more and more aggressive towards Hazel, berating her over the smallest mistakes, tell her that everything she did was shit, and blaming anything that went wrong on her. She felt like more of a house cleaner rather than an actual significant other. It was around this time that their dog Pinto had been attacked by one of the other dogs, an event which became the last straw and broke up their relationship. Soon after, Yaki got with Ruby, and the abuse Hazel suffered at the home worsened even more, escalating to her being locked out of the house. Yaki physically assaulting her and strong-arming her to pay for even more things, with her manipulating Hazel into staying by telling them that their parents wouldn't take them in due to their gender/sexuality. Due to how bad the abuse got, Hazel attempted to take their own life in May of 2021 by ingesting sodium nitrate. They were admitted to the hospital and thankfully survived the attempt, but fearing what Yaki might do, they simply told them that they had a panic attack. Hazel soon moved out in June 11th, taking their belongings as well as their cat Gil, as Hazel had observed Yaki's abusive treatment towards the pet, describing their treatment as, quote, throwing the cat multiple times, locking him in closets multiple times, and generally confining him to a very small room, and left me to take care of him completely. Hazel's story is the most horrific that we've heard during the situation, as she experienced much of the same shit as Ultima, but to a much higher degree due to the relationship aspect, especially as that relationship became strained and broken. But don't think we're in the clear just yet, we still have a lot to get through. Yes, you read that right. The next person to call out Yaki goes by the username Ratbarf, and has gone by similar rodent puke themed names before. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be calling them Jake. Jake was good friends with Yaki for about a year or two, from 2019 until 2021. Jake describes Yaki's friendship with them and others as being one where she would berate and bully her close friends, including them, although they would mostly let it slide due to apathy. It's only now did they realize this became a pattern of behavior for her. Jake explains that there were aspects of Yaki's behavior during their friendship that raised red flags in their mind, and they simply shrugged them off initially. They explained how Yaki would act pretty rude to her friends and strangers, allegedly insulting them in a way that felt harsh and unnecessary. Jake explains like so. I recall times where she would call me stupid, and a pussy, often in a context that was really unnecessary. This would also apply to other people in the group. She would pick her favorites and actively avoid the rest, but hold power over our group since a lot of us were young and naive. There was even one instance where she claimed one of our friends was a, quote, fat loser that no one likes and is only around cause everyone feels guilty. In short, Yaki was over the top in her aggression to us, I can get at least 10 people who can verify these claims and stories.
Man, that's crazy.
Certainly not a good look, and that's not even the main point of their document either. Their friendship turned for the worst after Jake split with their then-girlfriend of 2 years at the time. Jake admits that he didn't take the breakup well, threatening to take his own life, proceeding to make an attempt, and contacting his ex about it afterwards, despite being told not to. Their ex would vent about this to Yaki, since the two were close. But if we know anything from Aru's story, it's that Yaki getting involved with relationship drama doesn't end well at all. According to Jake, despite their ex explicitly telling Yaki not to talk about this with anyone, Yaki proceeded to do the exact opposite, and began telling people a warped version of the story that painted Jake in the worst light possible, even to people neither party even knew. Yaki used this as a point of leverage to assassinate Jake's character and have him excommunicated from nearly all of his friend groups. This included shit like leaking personal information and claiming that Jake faked his attempt, because it wouldn't be content creator drama without someone claiming someone is inside baiting. Yaki would claim that she never told anyone about what she had been told, but Jake was able to provide screenshots of his having to retroactively explain to his friends that the story Yaki had told them was intellectually dishonest, and then setting the record straight. Despite Yaki meddling in their relationship, Jake and his ex would soon make an attempt to mend their relationship and have become friends since then, something that Yaki was not too fond of, telling others how stupid his ex was for even attempting to do so. And even after the two made amends, Yaki still didn't drop the issue and continued to shit-talk them. Jake makes it clear that it's not so much the shit-talk that bothers him, so much as it was the dishonesty in how she presented the situation, and how she leaked information that neither party was comfortable with her doing, using it to get people...
It sounds like she doesn't like if anybody else becomes successful, or if anybody else has, you know, some type of positive reputation, bro. She tears down everybody around her to make herself look good, or make herself look like some type of top streamer or some shit, man. This is very sad, but it's also, unfortunately, very common in the entertainment industry at the same time. This is just, honestly, me hearing this, it sounds like, this is like, damn, this sucks, but it's like, I've actually heard about shit like this before from other people that aren't VTubers. So it's like, yeah, this shit happens in the VTuber sphere too. Like, no surprise, of course. But I think it's good to be aware of it. You know, you guys should know not everybody's your friend, even though if they say they are. Some people have good intentions for you, and then eventually their intentions turn sour. So just be careful who you hang out with, man, and be careful who you call your friend.
To turn against Jake. While not to the same degree of shittiness, this does resemble how she acted concerning Aru and Fidel's relationship, like a light version of what their situation ended up being. A sign of things to come, so to speak. Before Jake concludes their document, they mention how they were witness to Yaki's abusive behavior towards their then partners, specifically mentioning an anecdote in which Yaki yelled at her partner while on call so harshly that they started crying and forced them to explain to everyone that it was okay. I'm not sure if this was Hazel, and this claim is simply anecdotal, so take that as you will. But to say it tracks would kind of be an understatement. Mahato's story has some similarities to part of Ultima's story, as he was commissioned by Yaki to edit a video for her on her YouTube channel. And similarly to Ultima, Mahato's story working with Yaki was very poor. In 2022, Mahato had the opportunity of working with Yaki as an editor for a video, which he was happy to work on as he saw it as an opportunity to grow as an editor. The video she commissioned him to work on was a highlight video for her Pokemon Smash or Pass stream that she did. Mahato tried to make it the best he thought it could be, but she's just kind of passive-aggressive about the whole thing. I mean, I say that, but these messages just kind of have this tinge of unprofessional sourness. She's just kind of shitting on Mahato for not being able to read her mind and know exactly what she wanted. And when working with an editor, you have to give that sort of...
If you want a video to have a very... Bro, if you want something very specific when getting any editor or anyone to help you with your artistic or creative vision, you need to guide them, especially in the beginning of your work relationship. Say, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, you should do this instead. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass. On top of it, everybody that is creative and is an artist, like an editor or a thumbnail artist, you know, they have their own unique style, which is why you should pursue like a specific editor or specific artist that does a particular style that matches, you know, what you're going for with your content. And even if you get an editor or a thumbnail artist that doesn't match your creative style, if they're a rookie or a beginner, it's, you know, it's important that you try and mold them to what you specifically like, while trying to, you know, trying to figure out what actually, what style of theirs pops out even more.
Very specific, strict direction, or be edited in a specific way, then you just have to edit it yourself. And when Mahato points out how editing a video out of a VOD she gave him was gonna take a while, she got all catty and acted like Mahato was trying to blame her for the video taking time to make. You wanna know how long the VOD is? 30 minutes. 1 hour. No! 2 hours! He had to edit through 2 hours of footage, and she gets mad that he's taking a bit of time to get it done.
Yeah, bro, it takes some time to get that.
Okay, I'm sitting here watching through her VOD while writing the script.
Especially if it's multiple.
All the Pokemon from Gens 1 through 4, a total of 493, she said she would fuck 160 of them. What the fuck?
Hey man, no king shaming.
The numbers on this.
No king shaming.
That's basically a third of all the Pokemon.
Hey, it is what it is.
This bitch is on crack.
Damn, not crack.
Speaking of which, you want to know how much Mahado was paid for his work? You want to know how much he was paid for editing an entire 2 hours of footage into just 21 minutes?
$100?
$60. That's it. $60 for all of that work. Or at least that's what I would say if he didn't refund her half of the money for not being able to apply the changes that she requested and just to get her off his back. And if that wasn't enough, Yaki proceeded to shit-talk Mahado and his work behind his back. And I know this because if you read intently in the DMs that she leaked between her and Ultima, she literally tells Ultima that his work was, quote, horribly shitty. And in Mahado's document, he states that she's close friends with people that he talks to regularly. So there's a high likelihood that Ultima wasn't the only person she shit-talked Mahado to. In my opinion, Mahado went above the Call of Duty in trying to offer her some
refund is crazy.
And after bending over backwards to meet her demands, she just throws that shit in his face.
Yeah,
it's just shitty, pure and simple.
Yeah, no, that's really messed up. That's really messed up. This probably is the worst.
Whenever a public figure is facing
probably
public
one of the worst
backlash due to allegations being made against them, claiming said figure to be a reprehensible human being, it's always best to respond to such allegations calmly, in the correct tone, and with a deep understanding of what the controversy is centered on. We've seen dozens of YouTubers fail in this regard, as they often approach controversy hastily, anxiously, and improperly by distracting from the main point, by focusing more on their cute pet, or with whataboutisms that leave the audience unconvinced. As such, it is infinitely better for public figures to wait out the shitstorm on social media, calm down, take the proper amount of time needed to release a response that effectively refutes the claims made against them, or address them in the appropriate manner. One good response is infinitely better than 2 or 3 hastily thrown together ones. So you would hope that Yaki would respond in kind, seeing as this controversy had hit the Twitter trending tab, and the site was abuzz with conversation about the allegations. Hopefully she would respond in a week, maybe 5 days, at least a couple of days so she could calm down and collect her thoughts before responding, right? Her response came not even 20 hours after the initial Google Doc dropped. Yaki wasted no time getting a response out, and it ended up being right smack dab in the middle of the controversy. You can look at the time bar right now, we're not even like halfway through this bitch. And due to her hastiness in trying to douse the flames surrounding her reputation, she ended up pouring gas instead of water. The best way to summarize Yaki's response is essentially her looking at what everyone else has said, and going, nuh-uh. Fuck you mean, nuh-uh. Her response to Aru can basically be summed up with her contesting Aru's claims by saying that things happen differently, just some he said, she said shit.
It's always he said, she said shit.
Whatever she can to make Aru look bad in her doc. Like her claim that Aru only talked about connections when she was introduced to the friend group, which doesn't contribute to anything and really isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things when we compare to what has been alleged Yaki has done, both to Aru and others.
Connections is like the least amount.
Weird, flimsy counterpoints, like how she tries to refute Aru's claim that Yaki called her passive-aggressive by saying that she simply asked others if they thought so, because that's totally different. Do you guys think Yaki's being pedantic here?
No comment.
I don't think so myself.
No comment.
I'm just asking if you think so.
No comment.
It's completely neutral and isn't a leading question.
No comment.
Despite Yaki's claims being dubious
comment.
to say the least, and were likely put out there in an attempt to save her own ass, the riffraff had me concerned as to whose retelling of events was more truthful. After all, even if the other allegations made against Yaki have a lot of concrete evidence that solidified their legitimacy, that doesn't give us a free pass to tack on things that could potentially be untrue. After all, I literally just made a video about how that can seriously fuck you over. So I wanted to make sure that I had all of my ducks in a row and to get to the bottom of this. And thankfully, with Aru's help,
good journalism.
I was able to
Good job.
do just that.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I will say, even if you don't like this guy or you don't like the jokes he cracks or whatever, blase, I would say that this is actually it's actually really good documentation of whatever the fuck's going on and whoever this person is. It's a good breakdown, has an intro, has receipts, has a whole bunch of stuff. He adds his own opinion. I personally like it when people add their own opinion. I get it, a lot of people don't, but I personally like it. He's asking the viewer questions. This is a great video, man. It's an easy sub. Link in the description.
I contacted Aru to ask her about the claims Yaki made in her document.
Even more journalism. Going out there on your own and saying, hey, what's your opinion on this?
document and how they conflicted with what she said.
This is
and
good.
She was able to provide some valuable clarification.
We need more good journalists.
Seriously, huge props to her for being so willing to talk to me about this.
Huge props to you
it's never easy
for
to talk
getting
about
this
something
info.
like this when you've actually experienced it in person. Yaki made the claim that Aru slept through her alarm clock on the day that their friend group scheduled a trip to the Aquarium of the Pacific. Ergo, Yaki did not make an effort to exclude Aru from the trip. However, in actuality, what happened was a lot more complicated, so I'm gonna break it down for you.
Okay, break
Yaki
it down.
and her friend group had initially made plans to visit the aquarium at around 1 p.m. the following day. Here we have screenshots provided by Yaki that show the group arranging the best time for them to visit the aquarium while this is going on. In a screenshot Aru gave me in DMs, she is also inviting one of her friends to the aquarium as well. Yaki's screenshots are 3 hours late, so these two screenshots take place at the same time. I can verify this because Aru also sent me her version of a DM Yaki attached to her response, verifying the time difference. And with that, it seemed everyone was in agreement that they would meet up at around 1 p.m. Until 4 hours later, where Yaki realizes that she had plans to meet with Adriana Figueroa. Yes, that Adriana Figueroa. At 1:45 p.m., creating a scheduling conflict. According to Aru, Yaki tried to reschedule the aquarium visit to around 10:30 a.m., which wasn't as unanimously agreed upon as the prior time, most likely because certain people already had their own plans at or around that time, creating complications. And due to those complications, the plans eventually fell through and nobody went to the aquarium that day. This was after Aru had already been excluded from several other plans.
That sucks ass.
Friends, so at this point, Aru didn't have any intention of showing up at the new time and just silently canceled her plan to attend. Yaki made the claim that she and Izzy hadn't ghosted her when it came to them arranging when they should have brunch together, but rather it was Aru who ghosted them when she stopped responding to their messages concerning it.
Bro, you keep changing fucking dates.
Corroborate this claim. I asked Aru about this, to which she clarified that most of the conversations setting this up happened over the phone. She explains that Izzy had taken too much time trying to set up the event, so Aru had already made separate plans.
Other people have their own lives, of course.
Aru claims that she had to wait 3 hours for Izzy to decide on a time that would work, and speculates that the reason
3 hours, my guy. That's sad. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab me a spoon and a fork. It's a mukbang, baby. Food's here. I'm gonna eat it all. I'm gonna eat all the food. If you don't come get your food. That's the only way I get Fern downstairs.
Reason for Izzy's sluggishness and indecision was due to Yaki telling her not to really meet up with Aru, and believes that much of why she was uninvited to so many gatherings was due to similar conspiracy by Yaki. As for the last claim Yaki made an attempt to discredit Aru's testimony, Yaki claimed that she had asked Aru,
it's 1,500 for Leonard. I got me. This is actually Fern's. I'll show you real quick. I got Fern. This is like a sausage. Sausage, like it's German. It's like a Frankfurt something. It tastes amazing. I got myself some spaghetti and meatballs. The spaghetti's over here. I'm gonna just try the meatball by itself. That marinara is pretty good. The meatball itself is also pretty good. And I got some, I'm guessing this is chili. I don't remember. Yeah, it's chili. It's pretty good. Damn, this is all pretty good. Hey, sometimes you gotta go to the expensive restaurant to get some pretty good taste. Let's continue with the video. Damn, it's spicy too.
For ETA and received no response, meaning Aru was the one who wasn't keeping up with their questions. Aru recounts a different version of events. The reason Aru didn't respond to Yaki on Discord was because she was already in Uber when it was sent, and by the time she saw it, she was stranded in Hollywood and was calling Izzy while sobbing. She didn't not respond because she was being inactive or lazy. She was stranded in a big city and trying to stay safe. And now that we have all the clarification from Aru that clears up a lot of what Yaki said in her response, suddenly Yaki's claims appear even more pedantic and flimsy. Her only counterclaim is that Aru failed to respond to their messages on Discord, even though there are a lot of other avenues by which Aru could have communicated with them through. And besides from that, Yaki doesn't really have much else in the way of defenses for herself, save for one last thing. In her Google Doc, Yaki proceeded to leak a total of 111 screenshots she had taken of the beginning of her DMs with Aru, and I read all of them, and what I found was quite interesting.
Damn!
The DMs initially begin with both of them venting about their frustrations with Fidel's chat and the remarks they make about them. That's nothing out of the ordinary. It's completely understandable for them to vent about a rowdy Twitch chat. However, what's interesting is that Aru pivoted the conversation from complaining about a Twitch chat to complaining about a lie Fidel told. Something relatively small and not a huge deal, but Aru values honesty.
Is it our business?
Bit of frustration from Aru to take her into a Discord VC, where she basically told her a false story about how Fidel was cheating on her, with this story being about how while Fidel and Aru were dating, Fidel was receiving nudes from another female streamer behind her back. Aru had no reason to believe Yaki would lie to her and had her best intentions in mind.
What's wrong with that?
Only to find out in a
Bro, all of y'all be showing y'all coochies on stream. Y'all be showing y'all titties on stream. Y'all got y'all cleavage out. Oh, but it's okay to watch the cartoon nudes, but as soon as someone's really sending you some news, there's an issue. Sound like a double standard.
Matter of months that the story wasn't true. What ensued was a pretty brutal bout where both Yaki and Aru would converse with Fidel separately, where they confront him about this false story. And when Fidel obviously claims that the story was false and fabricated, they assured each other that Yaki's story was the truth and that Fidel was attempting to blame others instead of himself.
Wow.
Of course, Fidel being dumped by his girlfriend because someone he thought was his friend
That's
decided
fucked.
to tell them a false story
That's fucked, really.
about how he was cheating on her.
That's really messed up. That's really messed up.
This was Aru's thoughts on that at the time.
But like, honestly, I don't even know what's worse, that, you know, old girl lied or the ex-girlfriend believed that shit when she had no reason to believe it. Because if you're dating somebody, I feel like you should be believing your partner, or you should at least confront your partner and talk to them about it, right? If y'all really love each other, really care about each other, you would get both sides of the story and not just believe whatever the fuck old girl said. Like, for all you know, she was trying to steal your man. For all you know. And you just gonna go ahead and listen to her. SMH.
Time.
SMH.
Also, why the fuck is he yelling at you for something he did? Is he crying at least? Please tell me I made him cry. He sounded like he was, yeah. Heh. Bitch. Deserved. She would go on to repeat similar sentiments throughout the rest of the leaked DMs. The rest of...
People like this, bro. I can't stand them. I can't stand them, bro. I can't stand them. These two-faced, goon, goblin-looking motherfuckers. I can't stand them, bro. KhunShawn can't stand them.
Of them consist of the two of them completely shitting on Fidel and totally ripping into him. The one particular thing that stuck out to me is how Aru called Fidel a spoiled man-child whose own mom told him he has a history of habitually lying. So...
None of our business. Who gives a fuck? You're not his mom. We're not his mom.
But yeah,
that's none of our business.
It's not pretty.
That's none of our business.
What's perplexing about why Yaki attached these screenshots is that they don't prove a whole lot. Sure, they make the drama more juicy.
Exactly. They don't prove anything. Who gives a fuck if he's a man-child? Who gives a fuck he still lives with his mom? What does that have to do with everything else?
But all of these 111 screenshots were pretty much aptly summarized in Aru's original document. Sure, she didn't divulge into just what she said about Fidel, but it gets the general gist. The only reasons Yaki attached these screenshots is either to portray Aru poorly by showing how brutal she was to Fidel during their breakup, or because she genuinely, for some reason, thought these screenshots held details Aru left out of her document, when that's really not the case. This is just really confusing. I don't know how she expected anyone besides a complete psychopath like myself to really sit there and read every message.
At least you know.
In the end, the messages weren't really the gotcha she was hoping for. But I suppose that could really be said for the entire document, really. Yaki then moves on to talking about Ultima and his story, with her beginning by explaining that she never strong-armed Ultima into moving in with her, and that their agreement was mutually beneficial, as Ultima was also looking to move out of his current place as well. Ultima later claims that this was a lie, and that he wasn't in any need to move out at all, so we're off to a good start already. Yaki just kind of throws her hands up and admits that pretty much everything Ultima mentioned happened, but spins it in a way that gives her plausible deniability. Kinda like, yeah, that did happen, but I don't remember it being as bad as how he described. The funniest instance where she does this is when she mentioned how Ultima claimed that she threatened him if he were to talk about the alleged abuse. And she said, yeah, I said that, but I didn't mean it like I'd destroy his career. And it's like, what did you mean then? I suppose given the nature of these allegations that it is possible Yaki could have been telling the truth, and for some reason Ultima, Fidel, and everyone else vouching for his claims are just making a concerted effort to defame Yaki, but I personally find that hard to believe. It's totally possible, and I leave the decision of who you believe more up to you, but Ultima's DMs with Fidel, along with other people's eyewitness accounts of her treating him poorly, make me comfortable in believing Ultima. Also, you know, the other fuck ton of Google documents.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. This is just damn evidence, and it's just entertaining to me. Whether any of this, like this whole story, this whole video could just be made up. All this shit legitimately could just be fake. Is it? I doubt it. But it's like, at the end of the day, it don't affect me. But it's just interesting to hear about what the fuck's going on.
We still have to sift through. That leads us into discussing the final Google Doc Yaki attempted to refute with this response, that being the claims made by Hazel in her document. Yaki's attempt to refute the claims made by Hazel is like a mix of what she did with Aru and Ultima, in that she basically takes almost every claim Hazel he made and claims it was
Bro said the wrong name.
Was doing the actual work, while Hazel would pretty much just play video games and slack off and not do anything.
Hell yeah, baby.
He said, she said.
That's what I like to hear.
And pretty much every grievance listed happened in real life, so there's little in the way of evidence to add legitimacy to either person's testimony.
Oh,
but what's really strange is that, aside from that, Yaki also misunderstands and misinterprets what Hazel said in her original document, like how Hazel made it clear that she hid her suicide attempt from Yaki and kept it a secret and simply claimed she had a panic attack. To this claim, Yaki says that she doesn't remember the incident at all, completely ignoring that that's entirely Hazel's point, or how Yaki claimed that Hazel never trained their dog Momo, when Hazel admits that while she tried, she was ultimately unable to do so on top of her college classes and her full-time employment. And another time when she claimed that her cat Gil was kidnapped while she was away, when Hazel explicitly mentioned this, and that her reason being that Yaki was abusing him. This is either evidence of Yaki rushing out a response to stoke the flames of the drama, or Yaki lying in her response by denying everything Hazel claimed, even if it doesn't make sense for her to. It's very odd. This response was also where Yaki posted pictures of the condition of her house after she had returned home from her trip, claiming that Hazel was the one who trashed it and that she was the one not putting in the work to keep the house tidy. But based on Hazel's testimony, she was the only one paying for pretty much everything, while also going to college and trying to clean the house when she could. Considering the aforementioned inaccuracies in Yaki's story that cast doubt on the validity of her account, this very well could have been an unintentional self-report on just how unsanitary her living conditions were, and possibly still are. But hey, that's just a theory.
A game theory.
Yaki just couldn't help herself and decided to drag in another person into the situation, who, up to that point, wanted to remain a third party. Because even when facing backlash from a tidal wave of people on Twitter, she can't stop herself from shitting on Fidel. Fidel is mentioned in her response more than
what did Fidel do?
Which is absolutely dumbfounding. The heavy focus on shitting on Fidel resulted in
she really
Fidel
don't like him.
putting out a short statement on his Twitter
detailing his perspective
during everything that went down.
Blame
to
her
summarize
up.
an already short Google Doc, Fidel explains that though Yaki and Fidel were initially great friends, she wasn't very happy when Fidel expressed to her that he was uncomfortable with her constantly self-promoting her content on his streams and in his Discord server. While it initially seemed like a minor issue to Fidel, he didn't notice a change in attitude until she suddenly became two-faced and began to basically outright slander his reputation and image to other popular creators and otherwise notable people when Fidel wasn't around, meanwhile still acting agreeable when around Fidel to make it appear like everything was fine. We've already gone over how the story she spun about Fidel cheating on Aru was completely fabricated, but despite how she tries to play it off in her document, she was more than willing to run this false story to more people than just the person who was affected by it. As Fidel explains, I found out during an LA trip to see the Mario movie with my friends.
That's
Johnny
a good movie.
Adam, specifically at Izzy's party, that Yaki was going around to her entire new friend group of mega content creators that are a part of Alfred's group, and continues the false narrative that I was a cheater, manipulator, and overall an evil human being, which not only kept me from being invited to some events like Mario Party Summit or Stream Awards and such, but it got to the point where I wasn't even invited to my friend Izzy's birthday party because of the fear Yaki instilled about me. He adds, when there was a big friend awards show in LA, Yaki slandered my character to as many people as she could. She also told Aru that if she really wanted to, she could ruin my connections within the industry by telling her Sega friend she can make it so that they never work with me or interact with my content, and since Sonic is my, quote, bread and butter, I would be left with nothing. Izzy and her friends later confirmed this. Once Yaki became aware of Aru contacting people to get to the bottom of what was being said about her, Yaki went to Fidel to try and patch things up in an attempt to manipulate him into keeping everything on the down low. Sorry. He just wanted the shit being said about him to stop, so they mutually agreed to just stop talking about each other and move on. Predictably, as seen in Ultima screenshots, Yaki wasn't interested in upkeeping her end of the deal. Speaking of Ultima, Fidel caps off his statement by describing what he personally witnessed of Yaki's treatment of Ultima, likening it to the way people would scold a misbehaving dog. But he didn't know how bad he was really treated at home until Ultima vented to him on Discord. Oh, and alongside Yaki was someone by the name of Ruby, who provided his perspective on the matter since he was the only other person who was living with Yaki and Ultima. While this might pique your interest at first, it's important to note that Yaki and Ruby are dating, and that immediately calls into question the validity of their statement. Not only are they obviously biased towards their significant other, but if Hazel's experience is anything to go by, their perspective could very likely have been influenced by Yaki, if not just outright sticking her hand in the pot. And as you might expect, Ruby's statement is just kind of a milquetoast support for Yaki, trying to vouch for her perspective in the situation. And it basically boils down to him saying, well, I didn't see any abuse.
Oh, so it must not have been real.
Why didn't he complain?
Oh,
which is kind of strange. Ruby would ask, considering he did complain to Fidel about this very situation. Ruby's attempt to bolster his claims that since Ultima never complained, therefore he wasn't being abused, are screenshots where they're discussing who would take what rooms in their new house. Pretty insubstantial shit. If I can compare this document to anything, it's like that one guy from Parappa the Rapper that just kind of backs up his bully friend with one-word sentences. It's kind of like that, and based on what we know and will learn later about Yaki.
I wish I could like this video again just for the Parappa the Rapper reference, bro. I have not heard his name been said in the video in a very, very, very long time. Cut the cheese! Cut the cheese!
He roping Hazel into her drama back when they were together.
That game is actually pretty tough.
Gives me pause.
I don't know.
I don't want to completely dismiss it as just being ghostwritten by Yaki or anything, but there's too high a likelihood Yaki had a direct hand in the creation and or approval of Ruby's document for it to be considered with any real merit or weight. And sorry to spoil the rest of the video, but during the entire time that the situation was making the rounds on Twitter, not a single soul besides Yaki and Ruby came out in defense of them. Quite the contrary, actually, as we can see with the fuck ton of Google Docs written by different people of their poor experiences with Yaki. If Yaki's really as innocent as she wants us to believe, why are there so many skeletons in her closet, and why does everyone who she used to surround herself with vouch for Ultima, Fidel, and Aru? It's not impossible for Yaki to be innocent, and I would like to see the proof that would vindicate her if it's out
that'd
there.
Be nice if it was
already,
there.
It's not looking
You gotta
great.
show us the
It's
proof.
about to look a lot worse.
I don't believe it.
Needless to say, Yaki's response did not go over well and was torn to pieces on Twitter.
I don't trust women as it is.
Poor attempt at vindicating herself. The response was primarily focused on making attempts to recover her reputation at the expense of acknowledging what she had done wrong and actually apologizing for said mistakes. Yaki was more focused on shifting the blame back onto the people who called her out, rather than making a proper response where she owns up to what she screwed up on. And if you'll note the runtime, we still aren't done
accountability.
with the story. No siree. Because the story does not end with Yaki's response.
What does it end with?
It's truly the gift that keeps on giving.
It keeps going.
So, let's continue, shall we?
Chapter 7.
The central component for any VTuber online is their VTuber model. It's what's always on screen during their streams and videos. It's the
so this is the artist's
branding,
point of view,
and it's what the graphic design of their branding is usually based on. And it's literally the entire point of a VTuber.
She's so adorable.
I mean, a VTuber without a model is just a normal streamer without a face cam at that point.
True.
Well, VTuber models are the most integral part of the community. VTuber models are also prohibitively expensive. Provided a VTuber isn't creating the model themselves, commissioning an artist to draw a model for them tends to cost upwards of $400 or $500.
I got mine for $200.
Something cheaper for sure, but that's the general rule based on the numbers I've been seeing after sifting through quite a number of commission sheets. And with the vast majority of VTubers being slick, pretty anime characters with a lot of detail, it's the big contributing factor as to why the price tends to be so high. And that's just on the art itself. You also have to rig every separate section of the model, and if you don't know how to get that done, well, you're gonna have to pay someone to do that for you. And if you want to go the 3D route with your model, just forget about it at that point. Establishing just how expensive VTuber models is important, as it provides you a frame of reference for Tommy's story.
I'll pay you an exposure.
A former friend of Yaki's, who was the artist who provided her both her PNG tuber avatar and VTuber model.
I'll pay you an exposure. At the time of their
creation, Yaki had just split with Hazel, so Tommy felt bad charging her for their work. And since they were pretty close, as Tommy explained, Tommy decided to make these for free. Again, a VTuber model that, based on how nice the art looks, would easily cost upwards of $500, and Tommy was such a lad that they decided to do it free of charge. Yaki assured Tommy there would be no deadline, and they said they'd try to get it done within 5 to 6 months, although advised them to look into potential other options if they weren't able to get it done fast enough. Seeing as they were doing this for free, that's pretty reasonable. Months passed, and due to having some personal issues as well as already having commissions, which obviously take priority, they weren't able to get a ton done. But when Tommy had most of the sketch done, Yaki requested some changes, and since it was still early in production, they were more than happy to oblige. Should be a win-win for both. They had a call a couple weeks later which served as the instance when Yaki changed her model from the first concept to the new final design she would end up using. But then a month later, tensions began to rise. While Yaki didn't give Tommy a deadline, Tommy began saying things like, "It'll be done Monday, it'll be done next week,"
don't say
and
that.
so on.
Don't say
Yaki,
that.
She took this as Tommy setting a concrete day of delivery,
that.
which was not the intention. So when Tommy would postpone...
Well, regardless, right? Because at this point, then, yeah, I have to be on Yaki's side, right? If you have a service and you say it'll be done on a set date, okay, well, then I expect it to be on that date. Now, if you want to change it before the day comes, like maybe 2, 3, 4 days in advance, okay, totally agree. But the day of, you don't just say, yeah, no, it'll be another week. Like, bro, no, because then that gives me, like, me personally, right? Me personally, KhunShawn, if I hear somebody say something's going to be done Monday, and then Monday comes and they say, oh, no, it's going to be next week, I take that as you never worked on the shit till last minute and you couldn't tell me beforehand. Like, if you just tell me, yeah, I have other stuff, I don't know when it's going to be done, I'm aiming for next week, and then before next week come, you'd be like, okay, maybe not. Like, if you got a product, you just gotta let people know. That's literally it. Just let people know. Like, sometimes even I'll go into the Discord, I'll be like, hey, daily VTuber clips might not be up. It'll be up later, right? Because, like, yeah, that is my service, right? Daily VTuber clips is my service. Now, granted, like today, last night, I fell the fuck asleep, but I made sure I had some good rest, and I made sure that I put on the best performance that I could when it comes to the clips. And it's like, yeah, I couldn't make it on time. And could I have stayed up to make daily VTuber clips? Sure. But it would have shown in the end product that it's just not as good as if I waited, which is what was going through my head. I was like, damn, I really want to make the video tonight. But it's like, make the video tonight? Bro, you just came back from the water park. Like, no, you're tired. You're not going to be able to make a good product. So, like, I just got to be on her side. I just have to be on her side for this point.
When the work would be done,
I get it. She has a terrible history, right? Here's all the receipts. Look, even a broken clock is right twice a day, okay?
Became more and more peeved. This came to a head on August 14th, where Yaki confronted Tommy about this. She held his words over their head and was guilt-tripping Tommy over it, saying she felt like she wasn't being prioritized and being ignored. But as Tommy explains, this couldn't have been further from the truth. Tommy had been there for Yaki through her breakup. They donated to the GoFundMe Yaki created to fund the surgery for her dog Pinto.
That's cool. That's cool and all, but what does that have to do with our with the product, right? Like, yeah, she was there. I mean, he was there to donate whenever things were tough. I'm not putting the validity of this person's friendship or how they really feel about Yaki. What I'm saying is your friendship means absolutely, like, it doesn't mean zero, but it's absolutely low when it comes down to business, right? When you have a business with this person, you have a business friendship, you might actually be friends. But if the business is suffering or the product isn't coming or whatever it is, it's like, yeah, we got to put that to the side because one, I paid you, or if they paid them, like I'm expecting, like just that's just how these artists work on Twitter. It's like they want the money up front. I personally like to do half and half, but a lot of them like to have the cash up front, right? So I don't know if she paid them, so I'm not going to sit here and say she did. But whenever money is involved and y'all both got to pay rent at the end of the day and everybody has to eat, everybody has to drink, I would at least want a update on what's going on with the product.
Subbed to her Twitch and sent donations, and has also done illustrations for her featuring her VTuber. To try and guilt trip Tommy over not doing something for you for free.
Free? Oh, well, never mind. Fuck what I was saying. Nah, fuck everything I was saying. Fuck it. Just throw it out the window because I thought she paid. She didn't pay. Oh, you can shut the fuck up. You'll get it when you get it. Yeah, there it is. You get it when you get it.
Is a shitty thing to do on the face of it.
You get it when you get it.
To not even be correct is just a whole...
Nah. See, I'm over here thinking she paid. She didn't pay. Well, then we ain't got nothing to talk about.
New level. And when Tommy began to explain to Yaki about his personal troubles being an issue and how they've just barely been able to get their commissions done, Yaki just shrugs it off and says, okay, just get it done then. It's the actual psychopath behavior, like what the fuck?
Get it done then.
These screenshots just reveal this weird entitlement from Yaki, acting as if he owes her this VTuber model just because he said he would do it. And no reason as to why he has any...
He don't owe you. You didn't pay him. You should have paid him. That's literally, if you paid him, sure. You could say, hey, I expected blah, 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 blah. But if you ain't pay, you ain't got nothing to talk about.
Deliver it in a timely manner.
Ain't got nothing to talk about.
She did his makeup for his cosplay. He did one time.
Oh!
One last thing I want to touch on for the sake of completeness is one last screenshot Tommy posted on Twitter. This one being her response to this drawing he did.
Oh, nice.
Pretty damn good. But when she saw, she was weirdly passive aggressive and backhandy about the whole thing. Sick art. Laughing at how you forgot 99% of the design though.
Damn. You know, fuck you too then. I ain't buying, bro. I wouldn't, bro. You guys are so nice. You know what? I'm not going to take that for granted. A lot of you guys in the art sphere and the VTuber sphere online, a lot of you guys are really nice. And your nicest does get taken for granted. I am here as KhunShawn to let you know that you guys need to stand your ground, okay? You gotta be like an earthbender, like Toph. You gotta stand your ground and wait for that rock to hit you, right? That's what you gotta do. If someone says, I want this, you stand your ground, say no, okay? No.
Not gonna lie, I did sketch it off of memory and went with what I remembered. Oops. Honestly, impressive, but you forgot so much. Would it have killed you to say thanks?
I was.
Both of these stories have similar themes of giving Yaki money under a certain condition, which in one way or another was not met or was not the case. Both of these stories are also pretty short and the people involved weren't particularly close to Yaki, so combining them into one section later in the video makes the most sense. Okay. First, we have a person who goes by the pseudonym Frosty Klondike, although I think I'll shorten their name to just Frosty for the sake of brevity. Frosty was a fan of Yaki's streams beginning in September of 2022. They explained in their document that they particularly gravitated towards Yaki's community thanks to them being inclusive of their non-binary gender identity, as well as Yaki being a cosplayer, which Frosty is a fan of. When they saw that Yaki had a Patreon, they decided to become a top-tier patron, which included the benefit of requesting Yaki to do a custom cosplay based on a character of the patron's choosing. Initially, this Patreon tier started at $100 a month, then doubled to $200 every month, then $400 every 2 months. Frosty was understanding of Yaki adjusting the price of the Patreon tier so much as Yaki would still need to turn a profit for each custom cosplay for the effort to be worth it. What they took issue with was instead Yaki's tardiness with delivering Patreon rewards. This is what the timeline looked like. Frosty,
and that's the thing, right? She has a service. She has patrons. If these people are spending money for it, of course they're gonna want the product. Yeah, understandable.
Became a patron on September 26, 2022, and requested Yaki cosplay Nico Robin from One Piece.
Okay.
Yaki agrees and orders what she would need for this cosplay. The
like
cosplay
Robin.
outfit then arrives on October 30th. Outfits are likely made to order, so that is understandable. Yaki tells Frosty that she should have the cosplay done and sent to them within a week. It wasn't until December 22nd did Frosty receive a proper update that the cosplay had been completed, and even then, Frosty didn't receive a link to claim their rewards until January 12th, literally a wait of over 3 months. And you want to see what the reward looked like after all that time wasting?
What did it look like?
Money well spent, don't you think?
I don't know, but I like what I see. I'll say that much. I like what I see.
Adding insult to injury is that whenever Frosty would ask about where their reward was, Yaki would get pretty clearly upset with them asking, despite the fact that they paid for the fucking thing to begin with. It starts with her getting kinda snippy with Frosty by telling them that getting into cosplay takes more time than it does to just change an outfit. Again, just really passive-aggressive and petty. And Frosty sent that message 21 days after Yaki told them that the cosplay had arrived and photos would be sent within a month. I don't think asking almost 3 weeks later is some sort of infraction. Oh, and just the irony of Yaki getting defensive when her patrons inquire about something they paid for, yet she acts entitled when pushing around Tommy about something he's doing for her for free. The next time Frosty asked, she responded really bluntly, almost as if she was insulted they asked, and proceeded to kinda just list excuses about how she does other things besides streaming and cosplay, and how she needs to do other things in order to pay her bills. Except that her Patreon is also paying her bills too.
True.
But, friends, I don't know.
Pedantics.
That's not the last of Yaki taking offense to her patrons asking for updates about the shit that they paid for, but we'll leave a pin in it for now and get back to it later. Not delivering Patreon rewards in a timely manner is bad, of course, but what I think is worse is the other reward of note that Frosty pledged for. That reward being a paid privilege to be a Twitch and Discord moderator for Yaki. Now, on the face of it, this is a
Someone can pay to be the Discord mod and the Twitch mod? Okay. I always thought it was the other way around, but hey, I guess I got something wrong.
Terrible idea. And you don't need me to tell you that. First of all, just the idea of going, hey guys, for just a simple monthly fee, you too can have the privilege of moderating my Twitch chat and Discord server is insane to me. It literally cements what is supposed to be the role of a chat hall monitor to a status symbol, something that was already prevalent. Not to mention that a good moderator is often donating their time to keep an eye out and monitor the chat or server. And if money's changing hands at all, it's usually not the other way around. To be fair, it's not like Yaki just lets anyone become a mod. They have to go through a screening process to make sure that they're not going to abuse their power, but that still doesn't alleviate the issue entirely.
You still pay.
We know this because our friend Frosty here is an example of why. They explained in the doc that they were initially not really interested in the role to begin with, but felt they might as well be of some assistance to Yaki since they thought Yaki could use the help. However, they had no prior experience as a moderator at all, and made it clear when they applied for the position. Despite this, Yaki still welcomed them aboard, and Frosty was able to learn the ropes through some help from their fellow moderators. They seemed to be doing fine as a Discord mod, even letting Yaki know about the Twitter account of someone who had been banned from the server. But after moderating their first stream for Yaki suddenly had a change of heart and decided to demote Frosty. In the screenshots attached, it shows Yaki citing the reason being that Frosty slipped up on shouting out a couple raiders, for activating Mod Shield, and for making polls and shouting out people without Yaki's permission, and for banning people who should have been timed out. Generally being a loose cannon, to put it.
Hey Frosty, come work for KhunShawn. Hey, come work for KhunShawn. I like it when people are ambitious like yourself. You're making polls for no reason. Yeah, you're shouting people out. I like it. Come work for me.
Simply. And while that's totally on Frosty for not taking more care and messing up something they should have already been aware of, I can't help but also look at Yaki and think, what were you expecting? Someone who has no experience moderating a Twitch chat before and isn't familiar with your moderation accommodations just gives you money and you just let them? This is literally why nobody else does this. The employee's at fault, but you also gotta blame poor management.
You gotta blame the employer as well.
Frosty didn't even turn the mod shield on. It was someone else. They admitted it in chat and on their Discord, and Yaki was just like, yeah, I felt like it was you, so I'm just gonna blame it on you. Fucking brilliant, that is. And after Frosty began having some financial trouble, they had to lower their Patreon tier. They didn't even stop supporting Yaki, they were simply changing how much they were supporting her. But this small decision that was basically completely outside of Frosty's control, nor could they have predicted that...
It's okay to cancel your membership. That's like if Netflix is, oh, you want to cancel your membership? Oh, okay. You know what? Nobody can watch Netflix in your household. Nobody. I don't care if you had another account on there as your family. Oh, we can't do it.
Resulted in the bridge burning between the two. Fast forward to the night of February 2nd, and Frosty's rewards for basically the entire time they were supporting Yaki had not been fulfilled at all. The only thing they had received was this photo I showed earlier, but they were missing several other rewards you can read here. 5 fan signs, which are basically selfies with the person holding the name of a fan the selfie is dedicated to, as well as 3 other cosplays that Frosty had paid for. Frosty had asked for updates about their rewards previously, but when they asked in a direct manner on this particular night, it was clear that Yaki was upset, greatly so. She basically became fed up with Frosty, unjustifiably so, as the greatest crime they've done in these Patreon messages is sending long messages, which they only did because you asked multiple questions at a time, and sometimes using Patreon DMs like personal DMs. Where does this Frosty person get off?
Where do they get off?
Because I guess this Frosty person bugged her just a bit too much,
where do they get off?
She decided to block his account on Patreon, ban him from her community Discord server, and in typical Yakirisu fashion, proceeded to shit-talk the guy behind their back to her little friends to further ostracize them from their communities, with Frosty being banned from at least 10 Twitch chats and multiple Discord servers. And all of this because they asked where their rewards were. Frosty particularly took it hard as mentioned at the start, these communities provided a space for them where they felt that they could be themselves and be accepted. So to lose all of that for shit that's really trivial really stings, and I totally understand how they feel.
Pretty sad.
Of course, this is only their account of the story, and while they graciously attached their entire Patreon message log with Yaki to help back up their claims, there's always the possibility that they were much different on Discord and deserve to be given the boot. But to be ousted from other communities because of what is, at most, some drama with Yaki is just petty and completely
anything, it's a lot of miscommunication,
especially given how big of a supporter they were and how much money they sent Yaki's way.
That kind of sucks.
Yaki mistreats her friends, she mistreats her roommate,
she mistreats their employees,
she mistreats her partner,
friends,
she mistreats her pets, and she mistreats her fans.
Yeah.
Is there anyone she doesn't treat like shit? Well, you know, besides hooking up to Rad. Moving on to the second story, this one concerns someone who goes by the handle @NSuperGamerGuy on Twitter, otherwise simply known as Nathan. Nathan is someone who appears to be a part of Fidel's little community he's got going on, and as such, they knew Yaki. And after Yaki broke up with Hazel and would complain about the result that had on her life, Nathan would offer to help Yaki out by giving her a few bucks in order to make her life easier, simply as an act of kindness for someone who was struggling, or at least appeared to be. And by a few bucks, I actually mean much, much more than that. To cut to the chase, what was initially Nathan helping out Yaki, who was likely legitimately struggling financially at the time, soon turned into Yaki abusing Nathan's good-natured generosity by essentially using him to get even more money by lying to him about her current situation and what she intended to use with the money. She would lie to Nathan claiming that she needed the money to repair her car, yet, strangely, as we know from Ultima and Yaki, Yaki was regularly using Ultima's car to get around for most of the time they lived together. Now, I'm not a math teacher, but clearly something's not adding up here. Just where's the money Yaki is being sent going? Well, thankfully, Ultima's got the answer. When Aru posted her and Ultima's stories, Nathan talked to Ultima about him sending Yaki money, to which Ultima revealed that she was lying to him just to finesse money out of him. In fact, Yaki never used the money to repair her car at all. Instead, she bought a brand new one. Makes you really wonder how she didn't have enough money to repair a car on her own, but was conveniently able to buy a new one when she wasn't able to freeload off of Ultima's. In total, Nathan sent Yaki $3,682 over the course of 4 months, with most of it likely not going towards what Nathan believed the money would be used for. If you've been keeping track at home, Yaki's been racking up a pretty big list of shitty things she's done.
That's free money.
And the number of people she's manipulated, or has otherwise been shitty to, is one of the highest I've ever seen in a situation such as this. But we've finally reached the final chapter. The best for last. While the next person isn't the person who got screwed over the hardest by Yaki, I mean, it's hard to get worse than Hazel's testimony, but this person's story is both one of the more hardcore of the testimonies, and it's also the most recent testimony, so it'll serve as a good way to cap off this video. Let's dive into... Twitter user @Himea, known simply by their name Sean, is an artist who has something of a complicated and checkered past online.
It's your boy!
He used to go by the names @Starefax and @Hormeya on Twitter, which is important to note since screenshots used in this section contain his old usernames. Under that old username, he began to grow infamous due to his tendency to accept a lot of commissions, but would be very slow in making progress due to a few factors concerning his living situation at the time. So, allow me to give you their backstory, as it's integral to understanding their experiences with Yaki. According to Sean's Google Doc, which he titled, "Sir, an 11th Google Doc has hit the Yaki Towers. I shit you
Damn,
not.
an 11.
Sean used to be mutuals with Yaki on Twitter starting sometime around 2018. There wasn't anything notable that happened between them directly, they simply chatted, interacted with each other's tweets, and so on. And after a while, that began happening less and less. Sean shrugged it off initially, as they weren't particularly close to begin with. While that was going on, life circumstances occurred that had completely fucked up his financial situation. Sean was disowned and cut off financially from his parents, forcing him to drop out of college, which also forced him out of his on-campus job as a computer lab technician and support desk assistant at his school. Fortunately, this didn't have any impact on his living situation per se. He had already signed a lease to rent a place with his friends, but still, being forced to drop out of school and lose your job is really shitty. Due to being out of a job, they decided to give becoming a full-time freelance artist a shot in order to keep himself afloat. This is where he made the mistake of accepting too many commissions at once, which became an issue that would grow in scale over time. But it's understandable why he would do this. I mean, rent's not gonna pay itself, and he's gotta feed himself somehow, and none of the jobs he was applying for were getting back to him. But shit really hit the fan when his computer shit the bed, resulting in him losing all of his data. This set him back not only in time, but also financially, as he had to pay for his laptop's repairs. This is where the amount of commissions he accepted really bit him in the ass, as it's what led to him being infamous around the art community. As his work kept getting pushed back, resulting in compounding stress on top of what he was already dealing with and disappointed clients, Sean slipped into depression. Word of his irresponsibility with commissions began getting out, although Sean acknowledged that his clients did have every right to complain. But strangely, concurrent with the rumors of his lackadaisical work ethic were rumors that Sean was taking the commissioner's money and blowing it all in gacha games, namely Fate Grand Order. Sean vehemently denied this aspect of the rumors about him, as he was using the money for basic amenities like rent and food. These incorrect rumors only worsened his ongoing depression, and if things couldn't get worse, 2020 rolled around and, due to circumstances that I'm sure we're all familiar with, it only made Sean's life even worse. He had to cancel his appearances at nerd and gaming events at his university, which would have been a good opportunity for him to make some more money to ease his financial troubles. Due to his lack of money, he was even evicted from his dingy, crappy apartment, forcing him to move into an even shittier hostel.
Damn.
Sean explains the experience thusly. 12 people, sharing an apartment space meant for 3 people at
Ain't
most,
no way.
sharing one bathroom with constant racism-based berating, lack of privacy, inability to work due to a lack of privacy,
Sound like
awful
Fallout.
roommates, loneliness, and more depression. After 2 months living there, he was thankfully able to move out thanks to the kindness of a friend, and he has been improving mentally over the past 3 years. But the damage to his reputation has been done, and he certainly hasn't fully recovered yet. He's very aware of his poor reputation, but he can't really object because, well, they're kinda right. Even after understanding his poor living conditions and mental health, it still doesn't really excuse Sean's irresponsibility. It's like a homeless person stealing food from someone. Sure, they're most definitely suffering more than the person they stole from, and it's something they needed to survive, but it still doesn't justify stealing from an innocent person. Speaking of those rumors,
we should steal from the rich!
Finally arrive at where Yaki
Burn
plays
down the government!
Some of you may be ahead of me, but trust me, we'll get there in due time. As Sean recounts, they would interact casually from 2018 all the way until about 2022. He was venting to a friend about how to deal with online trolls and assholes when she butted in and said something to the effect of, "I hate it when people say stuff like this," and bringing up the rumors about him out of nowhere. I can't seem to find this tweet, even with my rigorous research, primarily due to his Maya account getting suspended. Or maybe it has something to do with Yaki purging 32,000 tweets from her Twitter last May. Well, I wasn't able to find the tweet Shawn talks about.
Twitter fingers is crazy.
I was able to find a Twitter thread that piqued my interest. The thread starts with a now-deleted tweet I'm unable to locate, but Yaki responds with BlackBerry. In response, a third person pleads with Yaki to take it easy. Yaki, it's really not best to pester him about this, genuinely. Why can everyone else point it out but me? Misogyny.
Because you're really not a nice person.
The first one I saw just now. Just trust me, it's not a spot he wants to revisit. Blame Andrew, he put it on my timeline. Of course, I'm not like blaming you.
No, dude, blame yourself. Nah, forget that. Blame yourself, because just because you see it on your timeline doesn't mean you need to respond. Yeah, you're a clown. You take no accountability. You have no responsibility. Your ego's bigger than your fucking forehead, you five-headed freak.
Because you
this is some bullshit.
Know why he
I'm tired of bullies over here talking shit. How about a bigger bully talk shit to you, fucking pleb?
I apologize if I seemed hostile about it. Yeah, you were extremely hostile for no reason. Delete the tweet then if it's such a huge issue.
Okay.
The original tweet was from Shawn, as we can clearly see here, so I'm not sure if this is related to the rumors, but it's something worth mentioning. Shawn's Twitter was suspended last May, the same month that Aru, Ultima, and Hazel would speak out about their experiences with Yaki. Initially, he didn't have much to say other than support for those who spoke out, but that was until he began hearing rumblings that Yaki was involved in pushing the rumors surrounding him. He took to Twitter to write a thread briefly going over what I've already covered, basically a TLDR of the story. In the comments of his thread, Fidel replied, "Yeah, she told us countless times on call that you were a scammer, and you hadn't finished commissions and convinced us you were awful. I'm sure we were not the only people she said that to, with artist and friend Eurocrab backing him up on this." The same day that Aru came out with her Google Doc, a Twitter mutual who owned a Discord server for artists to connect and collaborate came to Shawn to tell him that the real reason Shawn was banned just mere hours after joining was because of Yaki ratting him out to the owner and getting him banned. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? As they chatted about it, it started to dawn on Shawn that Yaki might be the person who started the, quote, spending money on gacha games rumor all those years ago. The next day, Shawn began talking to Andrew, the guy mentioned a bit ago, on Discord about Yaki. I think Yaki is the one that mainly spread the rumors that I spent commission money on gacha games instead of rent back in 2020. Oh yeah, she was. I remember that now. If that's the case, then I have an actual reason to dislike her.
Yeah.
What, did she say I spent 200 or so from commissions on Skahawk and FGO? I don't remember, but I remember her talking about that. It was like, what if he spent money on gacha? Then it turned into, he spent money on gacha. I rolled for Skahawk and wailed for her back in 2017 when I wasn't disowned and I didn't need to worry about rent. The only correct thing she said is that I'm slow on commissions, but everything else is fucking blatant bullshit. Where's the proof, lol? Ain't no proof. She just wants to believe it, so it's true. After this, Shawn made the aforementioned
perception is reality. Remember this
thread, but him putting his 2 cents out there led to him becoming reacquainted with Hazel, who revealed more. You're gonna want to sit down for this one, folks, cause this shit's fucking insane.
I'm already sitting.
Hazel revealed that Yaki had actually been screenshotting and documenting tweets from Shawn where he was quote-unquote e-begging. And according to this compilation, this can either vary from asking his followers for $16 to offering to sell something to complaining about being broke. Like shit, man, I've been there before. It's even worse knowing what we know now. It's one thing for someone to
sell drugs, fuck it,
e-beg, but it's a lot different when they live either in a shitty apartment alone or a cramped shitty hostel with 12 other people asking for just a couple bucks because he has no family to ask for help.
Go to the dark side.
And the irony of Yaki putting in a tweet where Shawn self-deprecatingly mentions that he had a dream where he went to Korea with his family but realized, oh yeah, I have no money and I have no family. Like, Jesus fuck, dude, talk about poorly aged. And Yaki's only supporting evidence for her narrative that Shawn spent commission money on FGO, and this figure of Skahawk is him saying he spent money on gacha games in the past. Previously. Past tense. In fact,
well, maybe if he saved that gacha money back then, he wouldn't have been broke then. How about that? Yeah, checkmate.
Thanks to my researching ability, and by that I mean punching in some words into Google, I have concrete evidence that refutes the claim that Yaki was seemingly setting up to make. Shawn states that he spent over $500 collectively on 2 characters in Fate Grand Order. These tweets are from early 2018. The first character he spent money to pull was Skahawk, and the event where you could pull her was a Thanksgiving 2017 event. As for the other character, Shawn switched to the Japanese app, which is important to note since gacha game events and banners have a massive wait time between regions. In FGO's case, the wait is 2 whole years, and Shawn states that he tried getting Jeanne d'Arc, Alter, referred to by fans as simply Jalter, in the Japanese app, and she was released in 2016. That was a whole 2 years prior, and the figure of Skahawk that Yaki attached to this Google Doc, that figure was released in August of 2018. Shawn wasn't disowned until summer of 2019, that being when his financial troubles properly kicked off. This so-called evidence Yaki intended to show proving Shawn was using commission money on gacha games doesn't hold weight at all. Just the fact someone would not only make a Google Doc containing such nothing burger instances of someone quote-unquote e-begging, which is actually mostly said person venting about their current life situation, but to also rope your significant other into it and get them to help maintain the Google Doc as well is genuinely psychotic behavior. If I had to guess, I'm assuming she was probably gonna write some bullshit Google Doc expose about how Shawn scams people for money to spend on gacha games. How ironic that would have been. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. It gets better, because not only was she making this Google document, not only was she talking shit behind the scenes to get him kicked out of Discord servers and telling people he's a scammer and to not work with him, but on top of all that, Yaki was using burner accounts on Twitter to fuck with Shawn about the rumors. We only have Hazel's word to go off since the account is hard to locate currently, but contained in Shawn's document is a screenshot of a tweet from one of Yaki's burner accounts accusing Shawn of scamming his clients. You know, if I had a nickel for every female content creator who got embroiled in controversy in mid-2023, who got exposed for using secret burner accounts to fuck with someone they unjustifiably hated, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but I'm not done yet. Because it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. Because
but I'm not done yet!
in addition to all of that, she's a goddamn hypocrite. Not only would she spend copious
bro, that's the worst. Those are the people I can't stand the most.
Amounts of money at once to get one character in a gacha game, she spent more than what Shawn did at once. And on top of that, she used the money she was supposed to use for rent on it. You couldn't make this shit up if you fucking tried, dude. Yeah,
so that's probably why she said that about him. It makes sense to me. I mean, if you're somebody that you financially struggle and you say, man, fuck it, I'm gonna pull this gacha, then why don't you automatically assume other people do the same thing? Because other people are just as negligent as you are.
Like projection on her part. Spread rumors about Shawn being a scam artist in order to ruin his reputation, but is actually the one who spends her rent money on gacha games. That's just the kind of person Yakirisu is, and Shawn's story is truly just representative of just what's wrong with her. Shawn wraps up his document by summarizing how bad Yaki's actions were when you get a sense for the entire scale and understand his perspective. A guy who was disowned and abandoned by his family, falling into financial troubles, barely making ends meet, needing to sell his own personal belongings just to feed himself, living in very poor conditions, and having the universe conspire against him with having his laptop crash like that. Living like that is hell itself, but to have someone come along, A-log you and maliciously spread
Bro said the universe conspired against him. That's crazy.
True rumors about you to popular creators and public figures just to taint your reputation is a whole nother level of psychotic. It's one thing to be upset with Shawn and his irresponsibility, but Yaki took it to a degree it should have never gone. And for what? Nothing. Shawn did nothing again. Certainly nothing worth having this much ire thrown his way. I would say this is kicking a man while he's down, but that's not
Twitter likes.
When it comes to Yakirisu and just the sheer amount of terrible shit just one person can commit, you couldn't ask for a better, more representative story to cap off this video than with that. The fallout of the Yakirisu story was felt pretty hard. Her name was trending for a solid 3 to 4 days on Twitter. She was pretty much the main character on the site over that period, across every circle that was even vaguely aware of her. And even people who weren't even aware of who she was began chiming in due to just how far the allegations had spread. While a few were willing to defend her, most of the internet couldn't ignore the laundry list of poor experiences that many had with her. I mean, when 10 different people come out in the span of 3 days, all with their own stories of someone being a shitty person, it's hard to shrug off the entire controversy as conjecture. And as if the entire internet being against her wasn't bad enough, the final nail in the coffin for Yaki came on June 2nd of 2023, when Rad, one of Yaki's close friends, and an incredibly popular YouTuber in his own right, went live on his Twitch to address the litany of allegations surrounding his friend. Rad's name was mentioned somewhat frequently in Aru's story, and since Rad featured Yaki in much of his content, with an entire video of his putting her at the forefront, people looked at Rad for a response. I would compare Rad's response to pulling teeth. It's very clear that Rad doesn't want to make this stream, and you get this strong feeling that he really doesn't want to be here right now. And it's understandable given how close Yaki was to Rad and his friend group. And even despite Rad's close friendship with Yaki and his reluctance to speak on the matter, he wasn't going to run defense for Yaki either. In situations like this, it can be easy to be blinded by your own biases. So I commend Rad's ability to empathize with those Yaki hurt despite it all.
This is what my statement said. It said, regarding Yaki, I am sorry that I do not have the mental energy to put a full statement together, so I'm just going to keep this brief. As you probably know, Yaki was a close friend of mine. However, that does not dismiss how she treated all of these brave people who have come forward and demonstrated a pattern of behavior from her that I will not support. I have read all the statements presented so far, but it will take a while for me to truly process them given how close I was to her. Despite that, let it be known that I do not condone this behavior. I'm sorry that I do not have more to say. To sign off, I will no longer be working with Yaki in any capacity, and she will never be featured in any of my content on any of my channels going forward. Please.
Okay. That is definitely the PR response, Dub. I mean, you don't look, bro. You don't last this long in the YouTube game without seeing a couple. Okay, guys, right? So that was definitely a great response. I'd give it a solid 6.5 out of 10.
Like that. Everything Yaki had built, the connections she made, the branding she crafted, the budding fanbase she just barely began to cultivate, was washed away as the one person who was set to cement her career as a content creator disavowed her. Kinda ironic considering she weaponized her connections with Alfred to hurt others. This is quite literally the textbook definition of reaping what you sow. Alfred's statement served as the final person of note to add to the conversation surrounding Yaki and the allegations that came forward during the time, being the punctuation to the discourse. Alfred's stream was the final nail in the coffin, but the coffin for Yaki's career as a content creator was fully buried when she deactivated her Twitter and Instagram accounts sometime either late on June 26th or early June 27th. Yaki might have had a slight chance to make a comeback if she was lucky enough, but purging her Twitter that had over 100,000 followers at its peak has sealed her fate. While her YouTube and Twitch pages remain up, it's likely they won't see much activity, at least not in the foreseeable future. Maybe she might be biding her time to make a comeback. Perhaps she intends to rebrand to give the VTubing thing another shot.
Bro, all of this shit happened, and she had 24,000 followers on Twitch. She was still an up-and-comer. How did all this shit happen so fast? Oh, man. So sad.
But in all likelihood, this is probably where Yakirisu's story ends.
For now.
What else can be said about Yaki at this point? The controversy that erupted on Twitter was a complete spectacle in and of itself. Admittedly, it's a bit of a you just had to be there situation.
Yeah, you just had to be there.
But the controversy spread so disproportionately far and wide that everyone across the internet, even people outside of Yaki's community, were putting in their 2 cents, often at how taken aback they were at the sheer scope of the controversy and some of the things said. Perhaps it's indicative of a larger phenomenon, but what I can say for certain is that everyone present was in awe at the utter catastrophe that unfolded. I mean, 11 Google Docs. 11! In the grand scheme of things, Yaki is far from the most sinister person online, but you have to be a seriously shitty person to have so many people not only have something worth writing a Google Doc about, but actively be willing to write it to begin with. Even the most genuinely rancid and fucked up individuals can't lay claim to that. But I, for one, am glad that everyone came forward to talk about their experiences with Yaki. I know that a lot of you out there have grown weary about what feels like constant controversy and allegations coming out about different creators. It can really suck to see someone whose content you enjoyed turn out to be a genuinely loathsome human being, or just hate how often things like this happen. It's become a, okay, what has this person done this time type of song and dance. But the way I see it, I'd rather have the truth come out than have it be suppressed so it doesn't go public. That's truly the dichotomy that we face as viewers. Would you prefer to have the truth come out, no matter how unsightly it may be? Or would you rather go on not knowing? The truth may seem obvious, but
the real answer to that question is down to the individual. Some people cannot live in a world where their dream world and their illusions of how right the world is, they can't deal with that being shattered in the realities that our world is a very terrible and unsafe place. And there's a lot of people out there are willing to take advantage of it instead of change it. That being said, I personally think that this video was amazing. Journalism-wise, it was amazing. YouTube video-wise, it was amazing. Entertainment-wise, it was amazing. It was great. This video is absolutely dope. And even the small, insignificant details at first glance somehow wrapped around to the bigger picture, which I commend Rhythm Rev for doing. Rhythm Rev, this was absolutely, absolutely amazing. One of the greatest videos I've seen on the internet in recent times. One of the greatest videos I've seen in 2024, and I get it. It's only April.
We're never.
Oh, happy April Fool's Day. It's April here in Asia.
When the choice is made. After all, it is not us that makes the choice. Because when you have a shitty track record as extensive...
Boy, I got a caterpillar in my room, boy.
...as Yakirisu's, it's inevitable that everything would come crashing down. Now we're just looking back in hindsight, as the name Yakirisu turns into nothing more than a distant memory left behind. But if there's one thing worth remembering, it's the award Alfred gave her.
Damn. Well, that's a dub. Check out this little caterpillar guy. Look at him. Can you see him? You can't see him. Wait. Can you see him? Look at him. There he goes. I have no idea how he got there. But yeah. Apparently he's my pet now. All right. So yeah, that was a great video. Absolutely amazing. Said it already, and I'll say it again. This was dope. Definitely go subscribe. Link down below. Go check out the rest of this content. Let's go ahead and check a quick look at Rhythm Rev. Let's see what else Rhythm Rev has got. Okay, there's this. Twitch is everything wrong with the modern internet. I heard that Twitch really does suck. We might check this out. Crooked Critic. Oh man, this guy, he's known for catching people. Okay, all right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.